Good morning, everybody, or whatever it is when you see this. I decided to do today's video on my first pregnancy symptoms because I was messaged by a couple people asking me questions about their first symptoms and if I also shared those symptoms, stuff like that. So I'd like to just give a quick rundown. I'm not going to do all the symptoms, you can just look that up on Google and you'll see the whole list of possibilities, but I'm going to do what stood out to me the most and also maybe a couple things that you don't really hear too much typically about. So, let's see. My first pregnancy symptoms started off around Halloween in 2010. So, October 31st, um, I was out with my cousins, taking them trick or treating, and I realized I was very, very tired. Um, that was, yeah, one of my first heads up that I might be pregnant. It wasn't a regular tiredness. It wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to go to bed tonight. It was like a kind of, I can't wait to pass out and go into a coma and sleep as long as I can kind of tired. Um, it's the kind of tired where you're literally like dragging yourself and you feel like you could just like, if you sit down for a minute and put your head back, you would probably just fall asleep. So that's the kind of tiredness it is. You will probably recognize it. If you are pregnant, you will notice the tiredness stands out aside from anything normal. Let's see what else. Irritability. I wrote a list. Um, Irritability made me really evil. Especially this was about November when I was getting ready to go to California, which you can hear about in my other video. Um, it made me so irritable, like I don't know, I couldn't even control it. And I'm usually not like that, but I'm better now that I'm almost 24 weeks. But back in the day when I was, 4 or 5 weeks, I was ready to explode certain days. Like if someone got me angry, I was just like wanted to kill them. And you start to wonder to yourself, you're just like, am I going crazy? Because you almost realize it in the back of your head, like that you're being really irrational and like ridiculous, but you just can't help it. So, irritable, things that typically bother you on a normal, regular day are intensified, and it makes you just like want to scream. So, yeah, irritability, big time. I'm also gonna get kind of in detail, so I'm sorry. I hope you guys are ready for this, but you want me to be honest, I'm gonna give you a lot of detail. Um, Changes with my boobs was a big one. My boobs hurt so bad. It was like when you go through puberty and you go from having no boobs to having them, that kind of feeling. Um, it's really painful and you feel like someone punched you in the boobs. And that's the only way to put it. It just really, really hurts. And I remember like standing in the shower water hitting my boobs, like wanted to make me cry. It was really, really bad. They got bigger. I literally have bought a new bra every month since I got pregnant because my boobs grow fast. And that's how I was when I was younger too, so makes sense, I guess. Um, Color. Your boobs will get, well, not your whole boob, but you know, the nipple will get darker. And this, I'm sorry, TMI, but it's the truth. They will be really light and then they will get dark. And you will notice it. You will actually possibly notice if you're like me, you might even notice this before you get your first positive pregnancy test. It doesn't like it's not a dramatic like overnight, like one day you just wake up and your boobs are like completely different. It's like a slow, gradual process, and it's almost like starts off in little freckles. Where'd my phone go? Okay. Yeah, it's like a slow, gradual process, and you kind of just get like little freckles of darker color, and eventually over time those freckles just keep adding up, and eventually it's just one big different color. So if you notice like little freckles of different colored pigment there, then that's a heads up. That's a sign that you could be pregnant. Um, appetite, my appetite, it was weird for me because I actually didn't get sickness till right around the time they expected my sickness to stop. Um, I would get sickness from like nausea, like from driving and that kind of thing, but I didn't get like straight out like wake up with morning sickness kind of feeling until around 11 weeks. But when that did happen, um, it was no joke. I was really, really nauseous. Um, and my appetite changed, like my taste in food. If anyone knows what the restaurant called Carrabba's is, it's a really, really awesome Italian restaurant. Um, but for some reason, the smell of that restaurant made me like throw up. And it's really weird because it's normally like my favorite restaurant. Um, one of them at least. But yeah, so I remember I was there with my husband and I hated it. I couldn't eat anything. And I think it's because they use so much basically what's gonna trigger your nausea is um things that are heavy, like heavy smells. If like I would rather you want to stick to bland baby kind of food because that's gonna make your stomach stay under control. Like I would pick a plain donut or chicken nuggets, you know, a salad with ranch dressing, just really, really plain foods that like is nothing crazy. Like when you go to Carrabba's, if you think about it, they use so many spices, so many different flavors, so much um, goes into it that it's just too much for you and it makes you sick. So one suggestion for nausea is just stick to very bland foods. And I don't have to tell you that. You're gonna figure it out on your own, like I did. If you're anything like me, um, you're gonna just naturally be craving things like macaroni and cheese, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. Just mashed potatoes, anything that is very plain and plainer the better. Like I would rather go to a school cafeteria than go to like some big fancy restaurant at that point because it just you know made my stomach more settled. What else? Yeah, constant nausea. Um, one thing with nausea that I have to say is if you are nauseous, don't not eat. You need to eat because if you don't eat, your nausea is gonna get a million